So Todd says, it's an annoyingly difficult issue to deal with. It's hard to teach and pinpoint where the liturgy ends and Kowo begins, but Kowo is insidious. Yes. Well, I think I can pinpoint it. I think I can. Now, let me see if I can do it, though. It has everything to do with where the Holy Spirit is. And the moment you think the Holy Spirit needs the music, you're in Kowo. And it doesn't matter if you're using organ and the highest classical orchestrated choir ever. If you think it's about the music when you walk in the room, then it's Kowo. And it is insidious and destructive. Straight up. Now, I don't call it Kowo. I call it revivalism because that's really what it is. It's really what it is. And it is a fine line because you could say the same thing about certain styles of preaching. And I'll have to admit, I tread a little close. But the thing is, what the revivalists did well, we cannot reject simply because they did it well. What did they do well? They plan. Most Lutherans don't plan at all. The revivalists plan. And then they adapt their plan. And they put the plan into practice with a strategy. And they learn about how the results work and they try to do it again better. Revivalists are really good at that kind of stuff. And there's a big corner of the Lutheran world that's like, well then, since Kowo plans, we shan't. We will not be like them. And it's like, and you wonder why. It's like, well, we're all idiots. Like let's cut off the nose to spite the face. That's how the proverb goes, right? So, at a certain point, we got to realize that the problem is not a guitar. The problem is not a lead singer even. The problem is technically not a trap set, although it's the hardest thing ever to get to be reverent. It's just not going to happen unless you're doing some sort of military thing with it. It's just not going to be reverent. And so why would you want it? Well, because you already want all the other stuff too. Otherwise, you would see how it doesn't fit. But it could fit theoretically because it's not about that. It's about whether or not you think it needs to be there. So if you're going to die on making sure the trap set fits into church, you're worshiping the trap set. What you should instead be doing, what we need to be doing, is dying on making sure that communicative preaching and singing that gives us those words so we can hear them as words, not as songs, as words. If it's not getting to us as words, we're wasting our time. Song can be so powerful for keeping the words with you, but it can also just be its own thing without the words. And I think that happens in more than one way. It happens when pastors want to have the song because of the words, but the tune's too hard to sing and everyone struggles. Now, you got to do that sometimes and in some ways so that we learn it, but limit it. Got to limit it. Because you need them to know some things well enough that they can sing them from heart. So that they have the words. And, of course, Kowo would never do that. It would expect you to listen to it on the radio, so you do learn it by heart, but then you're only going to have it be any good for a couple years. It would never do it in such a way that it would be by heart your whole life long. And that also would tell you where it ends and where it begins. When it lives forever, it's liturgy. When it only lives for a little while, it's revivalism.